Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and this is my review of Expendables 3, which I saw like 3 days ago. Well, I also saw it when it came out, and a couple times in between then. But I usually don't have this much elapsed time in between watching a movie and doing the review, and there's no real impact to the review at all. It's pretty much what I didn't like sit there and ruminate it on for 3 days. I basically have the same exact thoughts. And is that oh no, actually it did help because last night I caught this movie. I didn't know what it was. One of my favorite things about cable, which I don't have, but I'm traveling, so I caught it on TV at the hotel, is that you're gonna see stuff, a movie that you would never normally rent. It's kind of similar to what I think is the best parts about being in the military is you end up making friends with people that you never would have met ever in your entire life. Your paths would not have crossed. So I'm really building this up, and it's just what is his name? Scott Adkins. It's called Ninja Shadows, Tears of a Shadow, Shadows of a Tear. I don't know. I watched the whole movie not knowing what it was, and it's kind of awesome. It's a action movie where I've never seen this much action. There's literally a fight scene like every 3 minutes. It actually almost is like a side-scrolling video game. Every new room you enter, there's 3 bag. It's not like that. It's not like the Raid or something like that. But the plot just works it out so that like every 3 minutes there's another really good, very well coordinated, to be honest, very sped up fight. But it's just good. It's very simple. One of the things I started thinking about the action genre, specifically the not so heavy on effects, the old school guy who lifts weights, guy who does boxing or martial arts, guy with guns, that type of thing, is that you have to operate under the rules that were established in your head when you were 10. What I'm saying is you basically have to say, what did you think life was going to be like when you were a kid, and then extrapolate like that. Like, nobody should be that worried about making a living or being arrested. Girls aren't really in the factor, because it's basically, what is an 8 to 10 year old's view of what life is going to be. So using that for Expendables 3, I think that's the main problem. It's very much an action movie written by adults. I'm not saying it's necessarily, it's not like a Christopher Nolan movie, but like there's adult feelings of like sadness and regret that don't really go with the action genre. So I've mentioned this a couple times. I probably actually take the Expendables franchise too seriously. I'm not saying I think this is like The Godfather, but I absolutely love this franchise. That being said, I don't like Expendables 3. This is probably the, 5th time I've seen it, and I keep trying to like it, and it keeps trying to make me not like it for a couple of things. One of them is just, it doesn't really work on that just like cool, fun aspect of exciting adventure and fights and being awesome. I mean, it does have that, but it's kind of got this like gray tone to most of it, and there's a lot of just sadness and hangdoggedness. It's also got a horrible case of reverse Goldilocks syndrome. That's when you actually get the correct porridge temperature the first time, and then you get progressively worse as time goes on. Expendables 1 I consider to be, well, just the theatrical release version. They have a director's cut that has a lot more ad-libs that I don't really think work, and it has a musical choice that really doesn't work, in my opinion. But the theatrical release of Expendables 1, I would call that a perfect movie. Now, you might think perfect is synonymous with great, but to me, perfect is just what was your intent, and how close did you get to your intended goal. And I think Expendables 1 hit that 100%. I talked about in my review for Expendables 2. Expendables 1 was for action movie fans. Expendables 2 was for normies. Because Expendables 2 did good in the theaters, but it did a lot better like on DVD and cable, and it really became like, there was a big, looking forward to Expendables 2, especially because they added Chuck Norris, and the heyday of those Chuck Norris jokes. And then there was just like, it looked bigger budget. I think it was bigger budget, and I think it made more than the first one. And it was generally pretty well liked. I loved the beginning. I actually say I liked like the first half of it, and then the second half it kind of lose me. And then Expendables 3 is like all the things I don't like about the second half. It's all the parts I don't like about Expendables 2. So it starts off and they're in an Expendables adventure, but it's kind of short, and it just, whereas Expendables 2 had this awesome 15 minutes, bravura action set piece. This one's just a fairly simple, there's a helicopter, there's a train, go and get the guy out. The train then crashes into a prison and makes the whole prison explode, and that's kind of it. Then we get some really awkward bants, and there's a lot of bants. Bants is banter, which if you watch the outtakes from Expendables 1, there was a lot of, shoot the script and then let's just vamp and then let's edit together, the best banter. And I think the theatrical version is far superior to the director's cut because it has a better hit rate on the the one-liners and the ad-libs and the bands. This one, it feels like, it's longer. The other movies the first movie is like 90 minutes. This one is like 2 hours and 8 minutes, and every scene feels too long. The bands don't work. There's one scene where Wesley Snipes' character Doc has to go, Barney says, hey, go thank him for saving you, and then he does like this weird sarcastic thank you, and it just, every single time I watch it, it doesn't work. I think as an Expendables fan, the thing I like the most is they rescue Doc. We meet two of the original members. Mel Gibson's Conrad Stonebanks, who's a villain. Barney Ross was a founding member, and then this guy, Dr. Death, played by Wesley Snipes. So the core group, like the core group of Expendables, from the first movie, it looks like they might have been like well after the team was started. Like they maybe came in, 5+ years later, because they don't even know about the first group. Wesley Snipes has been in jail for 8 years, and he's asking about these people who are just dead or gone. Wesley Snipes' character also says something really interesting. He says that at one time the team, boy, if you don't take the Expendables franchise really seriously, you've already clicked off this video. He says at one time the team had 22 members. It started with 5, it worked its way up to 22 members. And that was really interesting to me, because to me that was just them screaming like, this franchise can be more than just, kind of redoing the first movie over and over. It's got this really great history, kind of like almost like a Fast and Furious type of thing, you know what I mean? Like it could have gone down that road, which I thought was really cool. The best thing that everyone says is there's a scene in a van where Mel Gibson is, he's captured, but he's still kind of weirdly in control. And I like that scene. Everyone likes that scene. I think that might be the only... The thing that salvages this movie to make it, watchable enough to finish it is Antonio Banderas as a character named Galgo. So what happens is, what's his name, who plays Hail Caesar? He gets shot in the chest, so he's out of the movie. And then it's kind of this down group. So Barney disbands the team. He says, you're all getting older, you're getting slower, I don't want to see y'all die off. So he gets Kelsey Grammer's character, I forget his name, and they go and recruit this team that is terrible. Every time, I think I hate this team more. It's like a bunch of millennials, and they don't, how someone's like, oh, he's the guy with knives. They don't even have a thing. Like one guy's a hacker, except for he's also a free climber. But they don't really. He does like generic hacking, like what's her name, Felicity from Arrow. But then at one point they don't know what to do with him, so they just have him crawl up this like elevator shaft for like the last 20 minutes of the movie. They have Tough Girl, who's a tough girl. I don't know, who's a horrible actress. She can't even. Half of her like bits are just a guy like hits on her and she makes an annoyed face. She can't even convincingly make an annoyed face. They got a Mexican guy with a faux hawk. I don't know. He comes from DARPA. I don't know. Now DARPA is, it's a government, not organization. I'm blanking on the term, but he's wearing a military uniform and then he's just kind of gone. And then they got a cool guy who's a cool guy. He's got PTSD from Afghanistan, but he rides. I don't know. Nothing matters. So the team of kids. They get Conrad Stonebanks. That seems okay. They go a little bit Mission Impossible. It's okay. And then he gets rescued and they get held hostage. So the old team comes back. Oh, so Antonio Banderas' character Galgo is a guy in his 50s, very fit. He keeps trying out for Expendables or anything like that, gets turned down because of his age. In fact, there's a really funny scene where he keeps giving fake names and getting interviews, and he takes off his mask. They're like, "What the hell, you again, Galgo? It's the third time this month." So finally, he ends up getting onto the team, and you could do a whole movie off of this character. This guy who's in his late 50s, and he's so excited to be doing what he was born to do. He's literally giggling and squeeing. He's so happy to be killing people. But it's more, it's more than that. It's about being part of a group and a cause and all those type of things. So it finishes up with, a larger Expendables team, I guess, with Galgo and the new ones. They have 10, 11, 12 members. So the third one made less money than the other two, which was blamed on pirating. A pirated copy was released 3 weeks before it came out in theaters. But honestly, the first one had this core team of guys, and the second one brought in Chuck Norris. They didn't really have that. They had Mel Gibson, but he was a bad guy, and there wasn't anything besides that, and it was just kind of dour. Honestly, I think it was word of mouth. I don't think the pirating was as big of a deal as they say. So there hasn't been one since. There's talk about being a TV show, which I think would have worked, especially if it would have been kind of earlier days in the team or later, but not with those new characters. Yeah, that's about it. So thanks for watching, and I'll probably do Rush Hour 3 next. Bye.